where the bullet struck him, or just he's a hardy fellow?
No, it's me, actually. No,
Totally.
It's totally me. He's a very lucky person. I think where he had his injury and how it kind of all played out really worked in his favor. It missed all major vascular structures. The bullet went into his chest, which sounds terrible. Probably injured a little bit of your lung, caused some bleeding, but that's pretty common with any sort of injury like that. So yeah, a little bit of both. Coming to the hospital quickly, all those sort of things really played into his favor. Yeah.
Can you talk to us a little bit about his recovery? How long will he be here? What's the future hold?
I don't know. So I would say, he's following. We call it the play. He's following the playbook. He's doing everything he's supposed to be doing. As we met him, he's very motivated to get out of here as soon as possible, which I don't blame you. Yeah. But I think what we're looking at is as soon as that tube can come out of his chest, which I'm hoping in the next couple days, then we just, I think he's going to be ready to go. So I think pretty soon.
So you would say then that he is recovering better than average, or just about what you would hope?
Well, I don't want to hurt his feelings. I don't want to say you're average.
It's okay. I've been called worse.
I would think no. I think he's doing exactly what we expect to do. So a handful of days in the ICU, making sure that the bleeding has stopped. A handful of days on the floor just to make sure everything is safe. His breathing is strong. His pain's under control, and then people go home. So I think he's average, which is good.
Yeah,
it's good to be average. You don't want to be
happy with average.
You don't want to be an outlier. You don't want to be super special at the hospital. That means something's going on. Did I do surgery?
Was there surgery?
You never required any surgical interventions except for the tube in his chest, and that occurred in the emergency room.
Yeah.
All right. So, Mr. Stark.
Yes.
How are you feeling?
I feel pretty good, actually. I mean, I'm a little tired and a little sore, but I feel fine, honestly.
You have a wound on your chest.
I know.
May we see it?
But, yeah, absolutely. I told you that I would show you, and I'm happy to show you. The bullet actually went in there, came out kind of through my armpit, and there's a bigger hole in my bicep where it ended up. So,
when you were struck, talk about the thoughts that were going through your mind.
Well, it was surreal, obviously. I just said to myself, I think I said out loud, I think I was shot. It didn't hurt as bad as I thought getting shot would hurt. I mean, it felt like somebody hit me in the side with a baseball bat, don't get me wrong, and it was probably the adrenaline and the shock, but it wasn't like excruciatingly painful. I don't know if you want to hear the story of what happened.
From beginning to
Well, I was coming the Route 75 as it's going inbound, which means towards Seattle, towards downtown. 125th turns into Sandpoint Way at the north end of Sandpoint Way. Came around the corner, and the first bus zone is at, I think it's 123rd. And as I'm approaching that bus zone, I saw somebody who looked like they were running for the bus stop. A guy was running. And he tripped and fell and just face planted the pavement. And I just thought, oh no, the guy's probably hurt. I'm probably going to have to call, he's probably going to need medical attention. He hit the ground hard. And so I kind of stopped a little bit. I saw him roll over onto his back, and his arm was out to the side, and I'm like, is that a gun in his hand? And it looked like he had a Glock in his hand. So I thought, what's going on here? He stood up, and this is the surreal part. He stood up and, very calmly, he stood up. He got into, I know a little bit about shooting. He got into like a weaver stance, a shooting stance, and very calmly took aim. And then I heard the report of the gun and saw the glass come through the windshield and felt the bullet hit me. That's when I said to myself, I think I said out loud, I think I've been shot. So I went down to the side so I'd be below the level of the windshield. And the only real cover that I had was in those buses, there's a fare box. Well, the fare box is a big hunk of metal, and there's change and stuff in there. So I figured that's my best chance of, being able to stop a bullet if he keeps shooting. So I got down, and I did like a 2-second assessment. I'm like, okay, I can breathe. I can move my fingers and toes. I can see. I can think, and I can talk because I said some stuff out loud. I'm like, okay, that's good enough. We're getting out of here. So I hit the EA button in those buses. There's an emergency alert button. Excuse me. I hit the EA button with my foot, put the coach into reverse, and started backing up and thought, I hope nobody's behind me. I hope there are no cars behind me because I'm probably going to run into them. And I just started backing up until I could see out the driver door, or not the door that the passengers board, the front door. I could see the side street, 123rd. While this is happening, the coordinator, whenever you hit the EA button, the coordinator calls you right away. And I'm putting pressure on my chest with my right hand, trying to drive with my left hand, and I'm like, now I have to pick up the handset and talk to the coordinator. So I picked up the handset, and it just really quickly said 3 times, I've been shot, I've been shot, I've been shot. Dropped the handset, went back to steering the coach. I got to where I could see 123rd, put it in drive, and started going down 123rd. Because I just want to get myself and my passengers as far away from this guy as possible. Well, it's a narrow street, and I didn't clear the first car. So I had to put it in reverse again. And this is the only time from beginning to end that I felt panicky. I could not get the coach to go into reverse. Because it's not just like putting your car in reverse. You have to jam your foot on the brake, put it in neutral, and then put it in reverse. It's a safety thing. So after like the 4th try, I got it in reverse, cleared the car, and then we headed down to 35th. I turned north on the 35th, and then I turned westbound onto 125th, and I pulled into the bus zone at 32nd and 125th. And secured the coach, set the parking brake, and that's when I asked one of my passengers to let me out of the seatbelt because I didn't want to take pressure off where I got shot. So she let me out of the seatbelt, and I sat down, and that's when I started thinking, okay, what needs to happen now for me?
Are you always this calm?
You'd have to ask my wife that question. I've always been a person who I think through things. I'm one of those people, when you get on the ferry boat or you get on the airplane, I read the safety card, So I'm one of those kind of people. So I just figured I was physically able to get us out of there, and so that's what I focused on, just getting us out of there, getting us far away from as possible, and then I'll worry about me later.
Here we are 2 days later, 3 days later, and we have 2 people who were killed in this. We have somebody else who was hurt, a 2nd grade teacher, and you're in the hospital. Do you feel lucky?
I feel blessed. I guess if you want to call it lucky, yeah, I do. God was watching out for me and the folks on my bus, for sure. That's the thing that bothers me the most about this, is I knew that if we got out of there, if we were no longer a target, he was going to go after somebody else. And he did. And that upsets me. But there's nothing I could do. I did the best thing that I could do at the time, and thank God nobody on my bus was hurt.
Eric, Sydney and Niagara police officials are calling you a hero. Have you heard that?
Yeah, I really want to believe that anybody in my situation, any other Metro driver, as long as they're physically able to do it, would do the same thing. I got to get myself and these people to safety. So I did what was available to me to do. That's what I did.
Is that what you were thinking about, the passengers as you were?
Absolutely. I mean, I don't want to sound totally selfless. The first thing I thought is, honestly, I'm not afraid to die. I'm a Christian, but I said to myself, I don't want to die today, right? And then the second thought was, I got to get these people to safety. Because as a bus driver, I'm responsible for the safety of the people on my bus. That's my primary job, actually. Next is getting them to where they need to go. Number one is safety. And so I don't want to die today, and I don't want any of these people to die today.
After you got that bus to safety, because I'm sure in the moment there's no thoughts. What's going through your mind? What are you feeling when you put that bus in park?
When actually, the King County executive and two of the Metro executives I talked to yesterday morning, and they said, you got that bus away, and he goes, and then the next thing you did was you parked in a bus zone and you secured the coach. What were you thinking? I'm like, that's what I'm trained to do, right? The first thing I thought was, okay, now I can think about how badly am I injured, and I really don't want my wife to look at her phone because she can see my location because we do the iPhone location thing. I don't want her to look and see me at Harborview, so somebody probably needs to get a hold of my wife so she doesn't worry.
But you've never been in a position like this before, have you?
Not to my knowledge. Not that I recall.
Never shot? Never having to make sure that your passengers are safe?
I mean, I've had incidents on the bus where, there are fights and that kind of thing, but no, nothing like this. No. So.
And presumably nothing you ever hope will happen again.
No.
Will you drive again?
Absolutely. In fact, I want to get back to work as soon as possible because it was totally random. It was not related to my work at all. I was in the wrong place at the wrong time, and I was the biggest target. I came around the corner, and here's this big bus, and this guy just wanted to presumably shoot at somebody or kill somebody. It was a big target. So it doesn't have anything to do with what I was doing for work or whatever. So yeah. I talked to one of the passengers on my bus. She called me yesterday here at the hospital, and I said, I'm going to be back out there, and I want you to come up to me. You see me, you come up to me and give me a big hug.
Do you know how many people were on the bus?
I heard that there were 12 people on the bus.
And where were you in the route? Were you getting close to the end?
Just starting pretty much. It starts at North Gate and then goes from Lake City to the U District and then out to Magnolia. That's where I was headed. So it was just towards the beginning of the route.
How far did you drive after being shot once you put it in reverse until you ultimately stopped and parked?
I don't know how many blocks it is. Probably 7-8 blocks.
Was it all in reverse or no?
No, it was reverse for about a block, and then the second time I had to back up a little bit just to clear a vehicle, and then so.
Is driving a bus like that something you get trained to do?
Actually, in training, they do teach you how to back up, but they tell us never back up. So it was a 40-foot coach, not one of those articulated ones. So those are easier to back up than an articulated coach.
Well, when you were driving the bus, I mean, you were saying that you don't feel like you're a hero. You think anybody would do it.
I would hope that anybody would do.
But you would have to still remain pretty calm to get through it. I mean, after all, you had been shot.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I'm not afraid of death, so I can panic and worry about that part of it later. I know where I'm going when I die, so I can focus on what needs to happen right now, and then I can worry about me later.
You've been a driver since 2012.
Yeah.
What did you do before?
I was a pastor for about 20 years in various churches, a family pastor, and I was a UPS driver years ago, and I've done different things. A seafood manager for QFC.
A pastor here locally?
Yeah, I was a pastor at a couple of churches in the Seattle area. I pastored a little church in Montana.
Any denomination?
The Christian Missionary Alliance, mostly. Yeah.
So you are a religious person. You are a person of faith.
I'm a person of faith, yeah. Yeah.
And you believe that helped you?
Absolutely. God's in control of his universe, and he had my back, and he gave me the ability to do what I was able to do. So I don't take the credit for it.
You stayed so calm, thinking about your passengers, but at some point, did you think about your family and your wife and what she?
Well, that was the first thought in my head. I don't want to die today because I don't want to leave my family hanging. they know where I'm going too, and so ultimately they would be good with it. But I wasn't ready to leave my family, and that was the first thing that popped into my head.
Do you have kids?
I have 5 kids.
How old are they?
I have 4 adult kids, and we had a surprise child about 8 years ago. So my oldest is 30, and my youngest is 8.
Is this over here?
Are those pictures?
Oh, those are actually 2 of my grandkids. I have 2 grandchildren, too. So we just celebrated our 31st wedding anniversary last month. Actually, earlier this month, 2 weeks ago. Sorry.
Congratulations.
Thanks.
You had a lot to think about.
Yeah.
When you first saw the shooter, was there a moment where you made any eye contact, where you saw his eyes?
I don't know if I made eye contact with him. I just remember thinking he looked like I guess he was 33. He looked like a younger, fit. He had a really short haircut. I thought, is this guy former military? Is he? I didn't know what he was. He looked like he was in really good shape. And I just remember thinking how calmly he got into a shooting stance and aimed and pulled the trigger. And I think I saw him shoot the second time, the one that hit higher on the windshield, and he didn't seem panicked or crazy or anything. He just seemed really calm, like he was shooting a paper target at the range. That was the part that was really surreal for me about the whole thing.
Did it seem like he had done it before?
Well, I have no idea, but he certainly shot a gun before. I could tell by the way he handled himself that he'd shot a gun before. So, yeah, that was surreal.
You said they tell you never drive the bus in reverse.
Yeah.
Have you ever driven a bus in reverse?
Yeah, I've had to back up the bus before for little things. Like if you're at the transit center and you have to turn around, you don't quite clear the curb, you have to back up a little.
But it's not something you do
But
every
it's
day.
something they generally don't suggest you do.
Was anyone outside with him when you saw him, or was he just all alone in the road there?
He was all alone. I think some other cars coming north on Sandpoint probably stopped. And then when I was able to turn onto 123rd, turn right on the 123rd after backing up, I saw some people by the cars I was trying to avoid, and they must have known what was going on because a couple of people looked freaked out, like they were hiding behind cars and stuff, because they must have heard the gunshots. And maybe saw the blood, on me.
Was there a lot of blood?
Well, that's one of the first things I assessed. It's like I saw the blood that splashed on the fare box and kind of on the floor, but it didn't seem to be like a ton of blood. So I thought, okay, well, at least externally, that's a good thing. I mean, we'll worry about the rest of it later, but as long as I'm physically able to get us out of here now, that's what I'm going to focus on.
You've had a
How are
couple
you
of
feeling
days.
right now? I mean, you got a room full of cameras and lights pointed at you. You've been dealing with this stuff all week. It's been a couple days. I know you said in the moment you weren't thinking about that, but sitting here dealing with it, how are you feeling now?
I'm sure I'll get introspective about it later on. I'm honestly not like freaked out about it or anything. I mean, I get a little emotional thinking about it, but no. And one of the reasons I wanted to talk to you guys is there's so much in the news today that is, negative outcomes. And this one, despite some bad things that happened, there's some good things. There were some good outcomes in this, and people need to see that. So I was happy to talk to you guys because of that.
Your story is
happy
the
to
good
talk to
outcome. That's it. Your story is the good outcome. That's what everyone in the city has said.
Yeah.
Your story.
Well, and hopefully the stories of all the people that were on my bus.
Have any of them? Have you been in touch with any of them?
Yeah, one passenger called me yesterday on the phone.
Awesome.
It was really neat to talk to her.
What'd she say?
She just thanked me.
She could see it. You were 52.
53.
Have you thought about the shooter at all?
Yeah, honestly, after we got me in the hospital and everything, I thought, I don't know if this guy was crazy or what. I'm bummed that he killed people. If he's got problems, I hope he gets the help that he needs. I mean, I hope that he gets the justice. The justice system does what it needs to do. But if this guy has got problems that motivated him to do this. I hope he gets the help that he needs.
Do you forgive him?
Absolutely. Yeah, I don't want him to have to face what I believe to be the ultimate justice. So he's got to answer to God, and I don't want him to have to be on the wrong end of that.
Last questions?
You know, what's for all of us here and all of the viewers at home, you're laughing, you're such good spirits, but what is it that's still making you kind of drawn to emotion and feeling? Is it just replaying it?
No, I'm just kind of an emotional person. I come across as stoic sometimes, but my emotions are always kind of right on the surface. I cry at Disney movies and stuff like that. So I'm an emotional person. But like I said earlier, honestly, I'm not. I'm sure I'll get introspective about it later, but it doesn't freak me out. It doesn't. It's obviously a little disturbing, but no, I'm okay.
Eric, I'm curious. 12 other people on the bus. I know you're not focused on that, but you park. Did they say anything to you? Do you remember their reactions?
I remember there were. I didn't. I wasn't looking at them, but in the process of this happening, there were at least one passenger, maybe two, who were saying, "Let us off the bus. Let us off the bus." And I don't know. I'll have to look at the video from the bus because it was a camera coach. I don't know if I said anything out loud, but I certainly thought to myself, there's no way I'm letting you off this bus. The safest thing for us is to get out of here, to get away from here. Then I'll let you off the bus. And I did hear one or two other passengers try to tell those people, no, man, he's trying to get us out of here. You need to stay on the bus. He's getting us out of here. So, but when we got there, one of the passengers, she said, what can I do? What can I do for you? What kind of help do you need? Can I put pressure on something? Or I remember one gal just was really helpful. So
you had good passengers too.
Yeah. There were at least a couple. They had to go out and flag down the police officers because where the scene occurred and where we ended up were two different places. So the police cars were just flying by my bus. So a couple of my passengers went out like, no, the guy that got shot is right here. They were flagging down the police officers. And then a whole bunch of them showed up, and the paramedics, and they're all great. They're all good people. Same here too.
Yeah. My last question for you is just, has this changed the way you look at the world at all? Or has it changed you?
I think it would be hard to say that yet. I'm sure it's changed me. Ultimately, it hasn't changed my outlook on life it hasn't shaken the foundations of what I believe. The world can be a rough place. But like I said, this is totally random. I don't expect this kind of thing to happen every day, which is kind of amazing. You'd kind of think this probably. I'm surprised it doesn't happen more often, but I'm glad it doesn't. I haven't lost more faith in people or anything. No, because like I said, I have a God who I believe is in control of his universe, and that's not going to change for me.
Would you all mind if once the room's cleared, I just get a couple cover shots?
That would be great.
Tell them I'm going to get some cutaways if you would.
I'm going to take a picture of this crazy for you, buddy. This is like a Facebook moment for me.
Okay, very good. I'm sorry.